Yeah, when you go into an exam and the doctor, she's like, oh, okay, she asks you some questions, there's your temperature, whatever, all that kind of stuff. She's like, okay, all right, I'm ready for the exam. Why don't you go ahead and take your clothes off, put on this gown, and I'll meet you over here. Do you say, I'm not sure. I need to think that over. I need to talk to my spouse before I undress myself and put this gown on. I need to do more research, doctor. You don't even question them because you already view them at a higher status because society has trained you that way. But if a salesperson suggested something to you after a couple minutes, lower status. My question for you is, how do I take them out of that way of thinking? That is called a deframe. Now the process. All right, Ryan. What would you like to ask me?
I've got thousands of questions to ask.
Thousands?
One of the things that I've heard you talk about an awful lot is the ABCs of selling.
Okay.
And it shouldn't be the ABCs of selling.
Yeah.
What should it be?
Well, we have to close, but it's what your definition of closing is. Now, can I ask you this question? I want you to really think through this. Is selling something you do to people, or is selling something you do for people? Which one? Just tell me. For. Okay. Because if we have a belief system that selling is something you do to people, how good are we going to be at selling? Not very good. Because you're going to feel nervous. You're going to have anxiety when you try to close. Okay? Because if you can't help the prospect overcome their fears. We're going to talk a lot about that today. If you can't help them overcome their fears, they feel no need to what? Change. And if they feel no need to change, they feel no urgency to change, that's why you get what? Objections. And that's why they don't what? That's why they don't buy from you. And when they don't buy from you, their problems stay the same. They stay in the status quo. And nothing ever changes. And whose responsibility is that? Yours or theirs? That's whose? That's yours. Okay? That's how we have to take selling at that level. Because we do have to close, but what's your definition of closing? See, my definition of closing is not, do you want the red one or the blue one? It's not pushy, high pressure. Because that doesn't work. You already know it. That causes you to play the what? The numbers game. Okay? I don't like playing the numbers game. In fact, when I got into sales, that's what they taught me. It's just a numbers game. Dan and G talked a lot about it too as well today, or yesterday. I talked to Daniel this morning, the lion versus the lamb. We always talk about the lion, but you have to be a lion tamer. I like the lamb analogy. I'm like, that's really brilliant. That's really good. Okay? With sales, how to describe this to you? Let's go through this. I think we should do this. How many of you have ever been how many of you have ever been presented with something, just in life? You've been presented with something, hold on, what's going on back there in that corner? I see a lot of people sitting back there. I've been known to come off the stage and just start role-playing with people in the very back that are sitting down. You could be trouble for you. I see all of you back there in the corner. It's the corner people. Everybody give it up for the corner people who just stood up. The corner people. Oh, we got corner people over here. I got some corner. You're guilty? I've been known to come. Most of the time, I'm not even on the stage when I do these keynotes. I come out and I'll role play with you, especially the corner people in the corners. You got to be careful with me. I will come for you. Okay? All right. I promise. Now, have you ever been presented with something, just in life? It's just something great, and you knew that if you did it, that it was going to completely change everything for you. You knew it, you could feel it, you knew if you did it, it would change everything for you, yet you didn't do it. Raise your hand if that's you. Raise your hand if that's you. Everybody should raise their hand. I've done that before. I'm a human being. That's just human behavior. Everybody raise your hand. Now, have you ever been to an event like this, and somebody offered you something really, really important for you? Maybe for your profession or something like that. If you knew if you did it, it was going to change everything for you. It would help you in some degree, yet you still didn't do it. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if that's you. That should be everybody raising their hand, right? The corner people, I see you not raising your hand back there. I'm coming back for the corner people, okay? Now, why is that? Because you all have prospects like that, right? That you talk to, that say, one day I'm going to do it. Someday I'll do it. One day I'll have more time to do this. I'll have the money down the road. One day I'm going to get in shape. One day I'm going to go solar. One day I'm going to get that life insurance policy to financially protect my family. One day I'm going to get a better manager to manage my money so I can retire. One day I'll do it. And where do all those prospects go? Where do they go? Tell me. They go nowhere, because that's the path that leads where? Nowhere. It leads where? Nowhere. But that's not this room in here, because this is a high-level room. Do you know why you're high-level? You know why I know you're high-level room? Because out of all the, hundreds of thousands of salespeople here in Australia that could have been here today, that probably saw some of your ads, that probably saw that, they didn't come here. They couldn't even be bothered to learn how to sell more. Imagine that. A conference where you learn how to sell more, and they're not even bothered to show up to learn how to sell more. That's not you. You came here to learn skills. You didn't come here to learn skills you already know, did you? You didn't come here to learn how to sell to your prospects that you can already sell to. You came here to what? Learn skills you don't know yet. Learn to sell to prospects that you can't close yet. Would I be right? Raise your hand if I'm right. Okay? Everybody should be raising your hand. I've got some people back there in the back. They're not even the corner people back there. I can see you. My eyes are honed in on you. Okay. Now, why is that? So I went to school. You learn about this later. I went to school for behavioral science. I was going to become one of those psychiatrists. Is that what they call them here in Australia? Psychiatrists? Yeah. Psychologists? You know, those people. And everything, all those, because a lot of us would say that when we don't do things that we know we should do that's going to help us change our situation in our life, that is a what? That's a pattern. Would we be right that that's a pattern, okay? So let's talk about this. That's a pattern. Can we even see that? Oh, these markers. See, we got to get the vibe board.
We got no money left. We spent it all on the event. That's a regret to bring you here.
Anybody here, does anybody here follow me anywhere on social media? Do you know? Okay, so you probably see, I do a lot of, the IG reels and YouTube videos on like this board behind me. It's called a vibe board. I'm just going to buy a vibe board. I'm going to stick
I'm
it
the
in.
vibe.
Okay. So these are patterns. Okay, these are patterns that all human beings have. Your prospects have patterns too. Can anybody tell me some of your prospects' patterns that hold them back from buying from you? What's a pattern? What? Just tell me. Fear. Yeah, at the core of every human being, we have a fear. Even though we might not like where we're at, we feel more comfortable staying there because it's familiar to us over something that is unknown to us, right? So fear's one. What else? What's a pattern that holds your prospects back from buying what you offer? What do you sell? Marketing. So like a marketing agency? Yep. It's a big space you train in. What's a pattern that holds your prospects back from getting your services so they can get more leads and scale their company? Because that would make sense. They'd want to scale their business.
Fear, because they've been burnt before.
Okay, what else fear? He said fear. You can't copy him.
Costs too much.
Okay, cost too much. Well, does it cost too much? Or not getting leads and scaling the business? Like, does that cost more? Which one? Which is more risky? I mean, is it more risky for them to get the funding together, be able to get the retainer, they get the right leads, they scale their business to, let's say they wanted to be $10 million a month. I'm just throwing out a number. Is that more risky for them to get the funding to do that? Or is it more risky for them to do nothing at all, stay in the status quo, their problems stay the same, and nothing ever changes? In reality, which is more expensive? That's a comparative frame. You guys want to learn about those later today? Maybe. So only one of you. Only he does. You guys want to learn that? Okay. What are some other patterns? Because if we don't understand patterns, we don't know how to help our prospects overcome that fear. Right? At the end of the day, what are some other patterns? I need to talk with my spouse. I need to do more research. I need to keep looking I'm going to ask you to fill in the what? I'm going to ask you to fill in the what? The blank. Okay, I'm just making sure you guys are awake at what time? 9:30 in the morning. You guys did you guys go out last night or something? What's going on in here, okay? So I need to think it over is a pattern. I need to keep looking around is a pattern. I'm not interested is a pattern, okay? Now, why do human beings have patterns? Let me show you. Okay, so this is called, and you're going to learn a lot more about this today. See, Ryan, you only asked me one question, and I'm going to be up here for 35 minutes. Could be trouble. Okay, so as a psychiatrist, we are taught, at least my professors taught me, that every human being on this planet has a way of thinking, right? Based on your childhood, based on who you associated yourself with. I was on Adam's podcast here the other day. Give it up for Adam, right here. Yes, Adam's podcast today. And you remember we talked about how every human being has a way of thinking. We call that a frame. Okay, a frame. Your worldview is based off how you're raised as a child, maybe what religious background you had, maybe who you're around, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, from the ages of really about 4 to about 14, even the people who you follow, well, they didn't have TikTok then, but if you're younger, the people who influence you on TikTok. That's your worldview. That's how you are influenced. That is a frame. Your prospect's frame could be, I never make decisions without doing more research. Their frame or way of thinking, I never make decisions before I talk with 6 references. I never make decisions without talking with stuff. See, those are frames or way of thinking that keeps them where? Where? Stuck. The problems never change because of the way they are thinking. So a frame is your way of thinking, okay? So your way of thinking. Now the question is, how do you get them out of this way of thinking? What's the biggest frame that your prospects believe right when you start talking to them? I'm talking about the first few words out of your mouth. I don't care if you cold call, if you do outbound, inbound, if you meet them at the home or at their business. What's the biggest thing that they're thinking? How much is this going to cost? Wouldn't that be the thing? When you first start talking to a salesperson, isn't that probably on your mind, no matter if it's a booked appointment, you show up on Zoom or in person, or if it's on the phone, cold calling, door to door, you're literally your frame or way of thinking, because we've been conditioned as a society to view salespeople at what? High status or lower status? Lower status, right? You view doctors at what? Yeah, when you go into an exam and the doctor, she's like, oh, okay, she asks you some questions. She, does your temperature or whatever, all that kind of stuff. She's like, okay, all right, I'm ready for the exam. Why don't you go ahead and take your clothes off, put on this gown, and I'll meet you over here. Do you say, I'm not sure. I need to think that over. I need to talk to my spouse before I undress myself and put this gown on. I need to do more research, doctor. I'm not sure I want to get nude and put this gown on. See, you don't even question them, because you already view them at a higher status, because society has trained you that way. Patterns, frames. Would we be right? But if a salesperson suggested something to you after a couple minutes, think of the pattern, the frame, okay? Lower status. My question for you is, why are they viewed in society with a lower status? Because if nothing's sold, there is no such thing as a what? Economy. If you don't sell anything, is there an economy? If nothing is bought or sold, there's no such thing as a what? An economy, right? And if there's no such thing as an economy, that means there's no such thing as a what? Society. So why aren't you higher status? Because of the way society has conditioned us to view selling that it's something you do to people, not something you do for people. And that's why I started this company, to change the way sales is perceived in society. Now, let's come back to the frame. Ryan, am I going overboard? You're like, dude, I was going to ask you 12 questions.
You kick on.
Okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay.
I'll get an invoice, but it's fine.
Okay, so this is the frame, okay? So how do we take them out of the frame? Okay? That is called a deframe. Okay? Let's say their frame is, I need to do more research. How do I take them out of that way of thinking? That is called a deframe, okay? Now the process, and I'm gonna show you examples later today when I do the Keynote training. Do I need to show you how to set goals and like motivate you and pump you up? I don't think I do, right? You're already here, right? You know, I used to go to events and people used to pump us up and motivate us. I'm like, I know all that. That's why I'm here. I just want to know what to say. Show me what to say. Show me how to use my tone. Show me how to get my prospects to let their guard down. Show me how to prevent objections. Show me word tracks. Show me better questions. Is that what you want to learn today, later on? Okay, I'm just setting it up for you. Okay, good. All right, perfect. Now, I'm setting it up for it. Now, the process of getting them into a new way of thinking, that is called a reframe. Now, some of you, raise your hand if you've ever heard of reframing. You've probably studied NLP. Where did NLP learn that? You ever asked yourself? NLP never existed till the mid-70s. They just come up with this thing called framing and reframing. Where did it come from? It comes from psychology, okay? A lot of cool psychologists about 100, 150 years ago came up with this, and NLP has kind of borrowed some of that tactics, okay? So they're in this way of thinking, cost-based thinking, how much is this going to cost, blah, blah, blah. How do I take them out of that frame? That's called a deframe. How do I reframe them? That's the process. How do I reframe them into a new frame? Okay? That's what we're going to learn later today. Because how do I take them from price or cost-based marketing agency? How do I take them out of how much is this going to cost? Because that's what they're thinking right when they get on. Do you book calls when they show up on Zoom? Okay, virtual. Okay, that makes sense. So they're not going to tell you that. Now, some people might tell you that, right? They're going, hey, I just need to know how much it's going to cost. But most just have it in their brain, and that's what they're thinking the whole time. So at the end, they're like, it's too expensive. Your competitor is 20% less. Like, I don't have the money for this because you haven't learned yet. Notice I said yet. You guys can sit down. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I guess I should have told you to sit down. You're like, God, can I sit down, Chairman? My legs. I was out partying last night. I don't know what's going on. The corner people. See, okay, good. I got you back there. Okay. So, the frame to deframe to reframe to reframe. So, price or cost-based thinking. How do I get them out of that frame into a new frame of results-based thinking? Because what's the end result of what you do? Can you tell me? Do we have a microphone up here? Do we have a microphone person?
Runner?
I apologize. I didn't tell you guys I needed a mic.
Shay?
I'm not really crying. I have like dry syndrome. You know what that is, dry syndrome? Anybody have that? Ah, man, it sucks, doesn't it? Yeah. So when you're on stage, it looks like you're bawling. Maybe I am. Okay. You good? Can you stand up?
Yep.
What's your name?
Ash,
How old are you?
31.
What do you weigh? I'm just joking. Okay. He's like, what? What's going on? Am I going to get asked these questions by Jeremy? Okay, so you have this marketing agency. So when they get on with you, I just want to give you an example of taking them out of this price or cost-based thinking. That's what all prospects, that's their frame. You all do it when you go to a car dealership, you go into, buy TV, insurance salesperson calls you, you're thinking, how much is it going to cost? That's what you're thinking. How do I take them out of the frame? Kim, I know you. Hey, you never came up and talked to me. I'm offended. What's going on? You hurt my feelings. I know you. Good for you, brother. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so what's the first question out of your mouth? Like, what do you say right when they get on?
What inspired you to book the call today?
That's the first question? Just give me the first words out of your mouth.
Ryan?
You say,
Just their first name.
You're the salesperson.
With a question mark.
You're the salesperson.
Yep.
I'm the prospect.
Yep.
I get on Zoom. What's the first words out of your mouth? No pressure.
Jeremy, cool. Thanks for booking the call. Now,
Why do you
before
tell
we
them,
begin,
why do you tell them thanks for booking the call? Do you have the problems or do they?
They do.
So why are you qualifying to them? Yeah, why are you thanking them to book on a call? They should be thanking you to be on the call with you, to solve their problems.
Yeah.
Are you the one that solves their problems or the other way around?
I am.
Yeah, see how you're starting to qualify to them.
Yeah.
Ah, human behavior. Okay, keep going. I'm nitpicky. Keep going.
So we've
I'm a
got
weirdo.
10 minutes on this call, so I want to maximize the time. If we can help you at the end of the call, we can have a Zoom call down the line, but if we can't, we can just part ways. Is that okay?
Sure.
Cool. So first thing, tell me, what inspired you to pop in your details in the ad?
I don't know. I'm just always looking to get better at marketing.
Better marketing, okay. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about your marketing?
Sure. Okay, that's not bad. Now, can I help you a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So how do I take them out of price or cost-based thinking? So I get on there with them. Hey, welcome to the meeting. Can you hear me okay? Okay, good. I was having a hard time hearing you. You sound like you're subway. Okay, so I got your application. Looks like you booked on the calendar about looking at, possible help with maybe getting higher quality leads to really scale your business, right?
Yeah.
Where am I taking them? What's the end result if I sold marketing in a marketing agency? Am I selling them marketing services? Am I selling them leads? Or am I selling them the results of what those leads and marketing services does, which to a company would be to scale their business, right? Let me do it again. Do you want to? There's some stuff I did there. Okay, so it looks like you, not me, not thanking them to be on there. I'm not qualifying to them. I'm going to teach you how to start getting them to qualify to you. Okay, that's self-persuasion. Much easier to sell that way, I promise. Okay, so it looks like you booked on the calendar about looking at, ways to, or maybe some help to really get a higher quality lead, maybe more volume to really grow the business, right? Right. Now, what frame am I taking them into? Results. Now, that doesn't mean that I have totally taken them out of the cost or price-based thinking, deframe them, reframe them to a new frame. But it's little bits. I might have done that 10% there. And by the middle of the call, I completely have them removed, where they're not even thinking about cost or price-based frame thinking. They're thinking about the results that they're going to get when they purchase that you're offering. So what did I do? It looks about getting help to really get higher quality leads, to maybe higher volume to really grow the business, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm taking them, starting them to deframe them and reframe them into a new way of thinking, which is a results-based frame. Raise your hand if that's starting to make sense. Only half of you? Okay, back there in the corners. I better see the corners. Oh, the right corner over here. Okay, does that help a little bit? Now, there's more. Yes. You got to go to that, because after that, I don't say what inspired you to get to the call, because if you say inspired to an A-type personality, what do you think is going to happen? Not inspired. Just wants a marketing. So you're instantly triggering what?
Resistance.
Sales resistance. By saying the word. How about I relanguage that word just off the cuff? Okay, so now, do they follow you? Do they follow you online, or do they see an ad, or how do they respond?
It's an ad. And
just an ad. So they wouldn't know you maybe before the ad.
No.
Okay, so and what does the ad talk about?
Investment property leads. To get more sales.
What?
To generate more leads so they can make more sales.
Okay, so more. Hey, so when you were going through the ad, where we were talking about getting higher quality leads, besides just higher quality leads, what was it that kind of we were talking about that caused you to, want to look into this further? See, not inspired. Want to look into this further. Now, I have to be more neutral in the beginning. I can't be assumptive at the beginning. How much trust and credibility do you have with that prospect 35 seconds in? None. Hardly. A little bit, because it's a book call. Okay? So I have to be more neutral. Now, as I build more of a gap, as I build more trust through that conversation, I can be what? Far more assumptive. Do you see the difference? Does that help a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, there's a lot more to that now. Now, don't think you're going to take those two questions and be like, I didn't 10x my sales, Jeremy. Because there's a lot more nuances after that. But you see how I'm starting to... Now, when I asked that question there, so what was it that we were going over in that ad where we were talking about X and Y and Z? Besides that, because they're just going to say, well, I want a higher quality lead. So I have to say that. Besides just getting a higher quality lead, because everybody comes to us for that, what was it about the ad that caused you to, want to look into this further? Now, Why would I say there? I threw in something there because everybody comes to us for that. Why would I say that? What does that do?
The root cause of why they're reaching out.
Okay, but what am I also building? Legitimacy. Yeah, because everybody comes to us for that. See, a lot of you are like, oh, we're the number one in the market. Goes in one ear out the other. Because every prospect hears every salesperson selling them anything say what? We're the number one. So I have to subliminally seed that different ways. Oh, that's probably the biggest reason why people come to us. Now I'm seeding that in their brain that this is the biggest reason why business owners in their industry come to us. That seeds what? Certainty that you can do what? Solve problems. You got lots of people coming to you. Do you see how I'm doing that? There's a lot of little nuances there. You with me? You sure?
Yes.
How much do you weigh again? I'm just joking. Okay, good. All right, does that start the process?
This is brilliant.
I could probably train on that about 17 hours, but there's a lot more to
We've
that.
got a couple more minutes. I'm going to take this opportunity, if I may, because we had a lot of questions after yesterday's session.
Yeah.
There's a few people on the fence. They hadn't seen you speak before.
Hold on. On the fence about learning how to sell more? What? Hold on. Anybody know how much I made as a salesperson per year? Anybody? Close to $3 million a year in commissions. Straight commission in the United States. 4 different industries, 2 B2B, 2 B2C. Where would I be right now? Where would my sales career gone if I was skeptical about acquiring skills to learn how to sell more? Anybody tell me? Hold on. Anybody tell me? Nowhere. Because that's the path that leads to where? But that's not you, right? You don't want to go nowhere. You want to go where? You want to go where? You want to go forward. Because you're what? You're a sales professional, right? You should be. Ryan, keep talking. Ask me. Yeah, you were going to say something. People are on the fence about learning.
Just filming you.
People are on the fence about selling more.
The questions were,
Yeah.
how do I know next Tuesday is going to be valuable for me? Do you want me to point them out?
Really? What I just showed you there was really basic compared to what I'm going to train you on Tuesday. Really? Tell me. Tell me. Because what frame are you in right now? You have frames as well. You have patterns. And where have those patterns gotten you in sales? To the level where you're at. Nothing more. Was anybody in here yesterday? Because I saw that. Ryan, I really like that. Your biggest expense in life is your lack of knowledge. Raise your hand if you heard that yesterday. Raise your hand if you believe that. Raise your hand if you believe that your biggest expense in life is your lack of knowledge. Because when you don't have a lack of knowledge, you have no what? You have no control. You let outside factors determine your results in sales. Right? You let the government's, now I don't know how it works in Australia, but 2 really big industries we train are like mortgage brokers, real estate agents, and they're like, oh, Jeremy, the interest rates, they're just so high, nobody's buying. They're always watching the news, waiting around, hoping and praying that the government will, the Fed Reserve, whatever they call it there, I don't know what you guys call it here, will somehow magically lower the interest rate so they can sell. And their results, in their mind, their frame, are determined by what? Outside factors that they have zero control over. Because they don't have what? Knowledge. Now, when you have knowledge, what do you have? You have power. You have full control. You're going to get fired? No, because you're outselling everybody else. You will be the last one in that company. I mean, the owner's firing their spouse before they fire you. You are the last one. You are the most valuable because you control everything because of your what? Knowledge, and you contain power. On the flip side, when you don't have that, you have no control. You let outside factors control you, and so when the economy goes down and sales start to dry up, who determines your fate? Your boss. Because you have no control. You have no power. You have no knowledge. Are you willing to keep letting that happen to you? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. Because that's why I came here. I didn't come here to train salespeople that wanted to have outside factors control their success. And I don't believe any of you came here to allow that to happen anymore. Right? Okay. Ryan, does that help a little bit? Keep asking me some questions.
Helps not.
I've got some things on my mind right now.
Say that last bit again.
I've got some things in my mind. Keep asking me. I'm rolling here. Hey, can I ask one favor?
Yes.
God, I'm really thirsty. Can I have that black bottle?
Yeah.
You guys are, whoa, that's a nice one. Oh, shoosh. Okay. Can I keep this here? You won't steal it. Okay, it's got a 7th level thing on it. Don't steal it. Okay, so, Ryan, tell me why they're skeptical about Tuesday, because that could be trouble for them.
They want to know if it will suit their industry. That came up yesterday.
Yeah. Maybe it doesn't, because what I train you only works with humans. Because it works with human behavior. Am I right, what I wrote up there? Do you speak to humans? Yes or no? Yes, or no? Yes or no? I don't want to have to go back to America and say this group in Australia, they're just, yes, no, yes, no. You're not going to allow that to happen, right? Okay, I'm making sure, okay. Now, supposedly, since, well, Ryan, I don't know if you know this, we train every industry in the world. We're ranked the largest business-to-consumer sales training company in the world based on annual revenues. Business-to-consumer, largest ranked, based on annual revenues. Not grandma saying it, just based on revenues. You have to prove it. Overall, we're ranked the 3rd largest with B2C and B2B and B2G combined. Business to business and business to government and business to consumer. And you're still asking if it'll work for your industry? Because what frame are you in? What frame are you in? I don't know if it'll work, but I know he says humans. I know they say they train every industry, but my industry's different. You don't understand? They're not going to let me ask those questions. They're just all logical. They don't make any decisions emotional. Oh, really? You're sure about that? Are you 100% sure about that? Maybe the question should be, Jeremy, I haven't learned yet how to use my tonality and the right questions to get my prospects to want to open up and feel comfortable to actually tell me what's going on. Can you train me how? Yes, I can. That's a really good question you just asked me. Right? Okay. So if we already train every industry and it works with human behavior, that would probably imply what? I don't know. That it might just possibly work for you because the frame is, what if it doesn't work out for me? Is that your frame? What if it doesn't work? Jeremy, what if it doesn't work? But I know it works for everything, but what if it doesn't work for me? Well, I mean, you do have purple hair. It might not work for you. No, it works for people with purple hair too. I love purple hair. My daughter has purple hair. It's awesome. Okay? What if it did work for you? What if it did? Are you against that? Who's against that? Anybody? No, right? Okay. Your prospects have frames. They have objections. They have objections about money. They have objections that it's going to cost too much. They say it's too expensive. If you can't overcome that yourself, how in the hell are you going to help them overcome themselves? If you can't overcome your frame, your way of thinking that holds you here, how in the hell are you going to learn how to help your prospects overcome that way of thinking? You can't. It's not congruent. Would you agree? Raise your hand if you agree with that, okay? Because that's why I'm here. That's why I started this company. Selling is not something you do to people. It's something you do for people. So how are you going to help your prospects overcome their objections, their way of thinking, if you can't overcome your own? Do you see why you're stuck where you're at? Because our thinking keeps us in the same frame. And until we overcome that way of thinking, until we get to the other side, because we all have a fear of change, right? But what's on the other side of change? What's on the other side of change? Do you ever have a fear of changing something? Maybe you're in a bad relationship. You're like, I can't have to stay with them. I'm afraid to leave. And then somehow you mustered up the courage and you left. And then what did you decide? What did you find on the other side? Change. Greatness. Everything you've ever wanted. You just didn't see it on the other side till you got there. So who in here, when I'm up here for an hour and a half later today, wants to learn how to overcome that way of thinking so you can help your prospects overcome that way of thinking? Raise your hand if that's you, please. Okay, right-hand corner, left-hand corner. Do I want my left-hand corner people? I'm coming for you. I see you over here. You're guilty. I saw you. Okay, Ryan, does that help a little bit?